I've never really rated Nate Diaz. I've always thought that he was a bit of a can, to be honest, and I still think that. And people seem to get all hyped up about the 5 rounds and Nate Diaz's conditioning, but he lost a 5 rounder to Connor, who has terrible conditioning anyway. So I don't really think conditioning is going to be much of a factor in the fight. And I think that Masvidal's just a better boxer all over, but a better stand-up even. So I just think Nate's going to get boxed up to a decision pretty easily.
I gotta go with Jorge. He's been more active. He's got lethal finishes. I mean, dude's aggressive as hell. Diaz has been dropped by a featherweight. I mean, Connor dropped him like 4 times in 2 fights. It's pretty ridiculous. That being said, you know, Nate's probably been on that super weed, so it'll be interesting to see how he looks coming off back-to-back camps. 5-round fight this time versus 3 rounds. Jorge's also never been on a stage like this, you know. There was a narrative way back in the day when he was losing split decisions to like Raging Al and Benson Henderson, that Jorge kind of choked under pressure. There was that narrative. So it'll be interesting to see him back, you know, on a huge stage. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson allegedly going to strap the BMF belt on the winner. So it's a coin flip. On this particular day, for this particular video though, I just gotta go with my gut. Masvidal in this one.
Diaz versus Masvidal, it's a somewhat of a question mark for me. I mean, Masvidal has been on a tear. Like his last 2 fights, he's been wrecking shit. But Diaz, man, I don't know. Like if I had like gun to my head, if I had to pick a guy between them, I'd go with Diaz, because we've seen like to basically knock the other guy out, and we've seen like Connor do that to Diaz, and Diaz took everything he had, and Masvidal is gonna come against Diaz with everything he has, and Diaz will just take it, and then it will be a cardio battle, and I got Diaz by decision.
I think it'll be pretty close. I think it'll just be an absolute like slugfest, just whomping on each other. So it's kind of hard to pick, but I always got to support my mate Nate Diaz, because I think he can just stay in there longer. The cardio's better, chin's better. I think Masvidal's better technically, but I think we'll just get drawn into an absolute just war, and I think Nate Diaz can come out on top of that.
Well, I think Jorge Masvidal's got this one. He's looked better than Nate Diaz lately. In his past couple fights, he looked really slick against Darren Till, knocked Askren the fuck out. I think Nate Diaz has a weakness to leg kicks and wrestling, which can both pose a threat from Masvidal. He got reversed by Pettis. I mean, he was using a teep to counter the leg kicks, but I don't think that will work so well against Jorge Masvidal. He'll mix up his slick boxing and leg kicks and takedowns. I mean, he got fucking reversed and grounded pounded by Pettis, who has no wrestling ability whatsoever. So I think that Masvidal's got the cardio, wrestling ability, and leg kicks to take this fight. Maybe he'll even knock him out.
Nate versus Jorge is going to be a fun fight. I can't wait. As long as it stays standing, I'm 100% sure it's going to be entertaining. Though when it goes to the ground, I feel like Nate probably has a distinct advantage there. Size-wise, I think they're pretty equal, both being fat lightweights. Personally, I hope Jorge wins. I like his personality and his style a lot more. He's also had some incredible knockouts, and I feel like he has a better shot at both Colby and Usman than Nate. I think I'm still gonna pick Nate though. I feel like it's inevitably going to the ground where Nate can snatch a few rounds, maybe even get a submission.
If I'm being completely honest, I don't know who to choose. Of course, Jorge is riding that wave of momentum with his 2 KO victories, and I think that can do a lot to a person. You just sort of have more confidence in everything you do, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you train. And of course, Jorge has great striking. He has a bit of a underrated ground game. He has that momentum, of course. Nate really isn't carrying momentum, but he's been working on his clinch game. He has great jiu-jitsu, great boxing, as we all know. But it's really a pick'em fight, isn't it? I have to support my boy, though. I have to support Nate. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jorge picked up the victory. So let's go, Nate.
This is going to be a cliche, but it's going to really be a barn burner. I really think these guys are just going to just please the fans, going to exchange for the first 3 rounds, and then you might see one of them take it to the ground, or you might not. Both of them have wrestling and grappling experience, jiu-jitsu, whatever you want to call it. Jorge Masvidal, he practiced with Colby Covington before they split. so he definitely knows defense with takedowns. The UFC is like giving us a treat, man, because if Jorge wins and let's say Colby wins, that's going to be insane seeing them fight for the welterweight belt. And then if Nate Diaz wins and Conor wins his fight in January, that'd be fucking insane as well. When it comes down to it, I think Jorge Masvidal will be the better man that night. And yeah, can't wait for it.
This fight is very interesting. Competition-wise, they fought like Donald Cerrone. They both had a pretty convincing victory. So, but I'm going to go for Nate Diaz because he's got a better gas tank in general, and he's got like skills on the ground, better cardio in general, whereas Masvidal has only won by KO. And Nate Diaz has a very good chin, so I don't see him getting knocked out easily. Nate Diaz by decision, most likely.
So I'm going to go ahead and pick Masvidal because when I see that Nate is taking so many years off, that just really doesn't give me much faith in his performance because I feel like he's mostly partying. And when you're an alcoholic, like I feel like Nate is, I don't think you're going to win because with the past, Louis Smolka, Jojo Calderwood, they haven't been doing too hot. So I'm gonna pick Masvidal just because I feel like he's not the type to go out and party every night and get wasted like Nate is, and I feel like that really affects your performance.
When Nate called out Jorge in the Octagon interview after thrashing Pettis, I remember thinking, holy fuck, please make that happen. And even though I would really like to see Nate doing the flexi arm thing, after strangling Jorge for a victory, looking past the fight and what could be next, I don't see Nate getting through Colby, and I really want to see Masvidal versus Covington for the strap. That shit has to happen. So while I think Nate's going to do it, I want Jorge to win.
So my prediction is Jorge Masvidal, second round KO. Firstly, he can crack like Nate Diaz in a previous fight with that fucking can Pettis was slacking, but his face changed when Pettis hit him, and Pettis is not as good cracker as Jorge. So I think that's it for Nate, and Jorge gonna just retire him, baptize him in the second round.
I've got Masvidal by decision. I think he's got a slight edge in striking. But more importantly, Kelvin Gastelum is going to make Darren Still again.